I can see you all joining. We're recording this session because we're going to put it up on the website so you guys can also see it later. You can, do as you will. I'm hiding in my bedroom from my feral children who are upstairs, but this is where I sometimes shoot my videos. So it's going to be good. I know a lot of you are in already, or at least the ones who are on time. I like the on time ones. That's me. I'm always on time. What I'm going to do with this one is in the past, I've done live seminars and like live webinars where I've had a theme and a concept from the questions you guys asked or from the whole unbothered thing. And then I've talked about that for half an hour. And then I've left 15 minutes for questions. And it leaves people feeling kind of like their question wasn't answered or there wasn't enough in-depth conversation. So I want to try something else with you guys because you're now unbothered. So you don't care, right? You don't care what I'm going to do. So you're like, do it, girl. So I'm going to do the top 20 questions I got asked from you guys. Excuse my sinus infection. It's really annoying to have children who, talk to other children and then you get every infection that they get ever in the world. But it's okay. We got water. We got coffee. We move, we never stop. So I've got 20 questions right here, guys, from what you guys have asked, and I've summarized them in a way that I can read them. So if one of you wrote, if you don't recognize your question, listen to the question within the question. So like say, question number 1 is, how do I stay in my feminine, detached energy while wanting commitment without chasing and having the what are we conversation, right? So I would have rephrased it. I would have rephrased what you said. If you said, my husband's name is Clive, not husband's, my boyfriend's name is Clive, and he's not committing, and I want a commitment, but how do I say, I've summarize that all down so it could be more applicable to everybody. And I'm going to go through 20 of these. But what I also want you to do, hello, have I done it yet? Have I put a chat up? Chat, there we go. There we go. In the chat, if your question does not resonate, doesn't come up, I will try and get through these in half an hour because it will probably be your question that you would have submitted in the emails. And then if it doesn't, we got the chat bar here, guys. We can do it. I recognize some of your names as well. Hello. Anyway, let's address that first one. How do I stay in my feminine, detached energy while wanting commitment and not having the what are we talk? The good thing about you guys joining on this second um second installment of Unbothered, I'm not going to bring it back until next year because I'm focusing the rest of the year on writing a book. And guess what the book's going to be about? So I'm not going to tell you the name, but we've just been studying it, okay? So I'm so deep in the research, clinical research, psychological research. Yes, love the hearts, all of it, because with a course, I can just chat from my experience and things like that. And with a book, you need to have research on the back. You need to have all of it, okay? And I'm so glad you did the round 2 because this is the time when I'm so entrenched in it that it's just a topic that I'm thinking about continuously, okay? So when it comes to detachment, this is the misconception. When it comes to detachment within the concept of you want a long-term marriage and relationship and he is umming and ahhing, but you don't want to ask him the question of what are we and where are we going, and you feel the detached version or the unbothered version of you is to never ask him and not care whether you get that or not. This is the whole paradox of why that's wrong. Detachment is a principle whereby you understand that you know what you want, but you're not pinning it on a specific person. You're detached from the outcome of that specific person. Let's call him Jake. I want to get married. I want to have children, but I'm detached from it being Jake. If it is not Jake, I'm not attaching ideas and concepts onto him that he himself has not volunteered for. Us anxious attachment girlies, we like to color someone with the colors of what we in our personalities have. I'm kind, I'm generous, I'm giving, I'm future focused, so he must be as well. No, he's not. He's just got a good sense of humor. And you've given him those attributes because he's made you laugh a couple of times. So, in the context of this question, you have to hold your standards. You have to understand who you are. You have to stay on business within yourself, within your access. You are an organism that continues its own trajectory. So, I want commitment and I want marriage. And here is Jake over here. And you lean back, this is the detachment part, and you receive what he is going to give you. You don't berate him, you don't nag him, you don't push him, you receive what he's going to get you, and you judge whether that person is for you. Is he fitting into your lifestyle, okay? And the third part is you be at peace with the outcome. So you told Jake, in conversations, because you guys talk, right? You guys talk, you guys go on dates, you talk, you're not mute together. So you're having a conversation. Oh, yes, I want to move to Philadelphia closer to my parents eventually when I have children. Oh, when you have children with who? With whoever that I just want to have children, not you, Jake. Calm down. It's not all about you, darling. You know what I mean? There should be a bit of humor about it, but you are a train going to where you're going. If he's jumping on board, he's jumping on board. If he's not, he's not. And how you find out the what are we conversation is you have your own deadlines and you have your own settings of what you are going to do. You in 5 years want to move to Philadelphia to live closer to your parents and have children. If he's saying he's going to climb Mount Machu Picchu and grow a herb garden, you're just seeing that that's not aligning. And so he's like, oh, yeah, we should travel in 5 years. You go, oh, but I thought you're going to go travel and I'm moving to Philadelphia. And he's like, oh, no, we'll see. And in that, you don't want to marry a we'll see guy. What are you going to see? What are we seeing? How unreliable you are? You see? So you stay in your feminine, you stay detached by staying on your own business and not trying to force someone. It's a global problem. We try and control people's opinions. You go online, everyone's trying to, why did you say that? I thought you meant this. Even people pin their kind of ideas on me. I open my Instagram every day. I thought you liked dogs instead of cats, like something like that, something wild and abstract. And I'm like, you do you. That's detachment. Understand who you are and don't try and drag people kicking and screaming into your perception of the world. Number two, my partner is avoidant, so is mine. And we haven't been intimate in years. Not my situation, but I know many people, so many people. Guys, it's an epidemic, you know. Detachment seems to push him further away. What am I doing wrong? I presume, and I might be presuming wrong because I don't know you. I'm not there. I'm not like there under the bed hiding, seeing what's happening. But I'm presuming that your version of detachment is coldness and punishment. Because in understanding detachment as coldness and punishment and like that, all of that, you are not allowing the natural process of masculine, feminine polarity and attraction. So what happens is he's avoidant. Avoidant people, they need more space because they feel engulfed. Engulfed is the feeling of like when a wave comes and crashes over you and you feel like you're drowning. Anxious people feel like they're neglected, like we're out in the desert, there's nothing to drink, nobody loves us, nobody wants to be around us, we're going to go to the garden and eat worms by ourselves. And avoidant is the opposite. They feel someone's always trying to control them, someone's trying to monitor them, and ironically, what do? They get together. So the avoidant is always running away and the anxious is chasing, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You feel engulfed, so I'm chasing you, and I feel abandoned and you're running away and I feel abandoned. Oh my God, of course it is, because we don't choose secure people, do we? So in the fact that you're telling me you've got an avoidant partner, which means he feels engulfed, right? He can't feel like it's not your fault, but he cannot be himself. He feels like he's always pursued. He feels like there's too much being asked of him. It's not your fault. He's just got a shot glass of attention he needs and you've got a whole pint, right? And in that dynamic, you've tried the concept of detachment and it's made your intimacy even further away. What's happening here is he has perceived your detachment, however you are emulating it, not as warm and open and giving him freedom, but as a punishment for his avoidance. And in that, the detachment is not true detachment, it's punishment, right? What is the difference? True detachment is sitting and being able to breathe as your own self, know that you came here as yourself and your only job is to work on yourself, and almost looking at this partner who is avoidant and seeing, are they really even for me? What if the intimacy is gone because you naturally shouldn't be together and it's been 20 years and maybe the attraction has changed and you don't need to be like, I need intimacy with this person. You need a break yourself. You need a break and an hour, 2, 5 years, 20 minutes, whatever time you need to assess whether this person and you actually have attraction. Nowhere in this does it say, how you feel about the intimacy. My partner's avoidant. Detachment pushes him away. What am I doing wrong? It's a very victim blaming psychology here, we see. So we're always, what am I doing wrong? How can I get him to be attracted to me? You need to stop and wait and see and have stillness and a lot of feminine energy and poise and boundaries in order to see if he's going to come to you. With an avoidant, it takes a long time. But he's reading the detachment because I think you're doing it in a way that is punishing, that is kind of cold, that is icy, that is like, fine, you do what you want then. You do what you want. Detachment is positive. Detachment is open. Detachment is, I'm here doing me, you do you, and let's see what happens. See? So his avoidance is not your failure. I put some notes here. And intimacy points at a deeper issue, and you need a deeper connection to yourself. And I would recommend, I'm not a therapist, but I would recommend therapy, not for you together, because dragging a man kicking and screaming to therapy is like the worst idea, but for you. Because why are you so positioned on his reaction to you as opposed to your reaction to him? Number three, because otherwise we won't get through them. How do I not confuse detachment from ignoring? Beautiful question leading up from number two. Detachment is a self-regulation. That's what it is. Detachment is a sovereignty in yourself, a knowledge that you know yourself, a knowledge that you can control your emotions because we're all financially independent, aren't we? Or at least they tell us to be. Don't rely on no man, make your own money, blah, blah, blah. You understand money's fluid, like it can come and it can go. But we're completely emotionally dependent on the person that we're with. You feel a bit sad, you're calling John. You feel a bit angry, you're calling John. Now you're thinking, yeah, but isn't that what partnership's about? No, it's not. Because we don't do this with our best friends. We give them space, we give them time. If your best friend doesn't answer your call straight away, you're more forgiving of her. You're like, oh, yeah, sorry I called. But, we really like to emotion dump and trauma dump on our partner, and we can't self regulate. The feeling of detachment is a peace of knowing that you have your own back and you can self-regulate. Do you know who does this? Securely attached people. People with secure attachment, they actually know how to do this. Something happens, they sit with themselves and they're like, wow, okay, this happened. What am I going to do? Yeah, I could call John. I'll call him soon. I'll see his opinion. They're not completely reliant on that person, okay? Ignoring someone versus detachment is saying, you'll pay for my emotions. If you do not address my emotions, if you are not here for me in the way that I expect you to be, and if you don't show up for me in the way that I expect, I'm going to punish you. And so you stonewall them and you ignore them. So if I'm detached and something happens, let's say my work calls, let's say I work somewhere, and they're like, listen, we've given all your shifts to Alison, and you don't have work for this week, and I need money. My unemotionally reliant self would call my partner if he doesn't say the right thing, doesn't comfort me in the right way, doesn't say everyone's an idiot at work, or says something like, well, what you should have, you know how men can do and try and solve it. I will ignore him because now I'm detached and whatever. I don't care about your opinion anyway. And that's wrong, you see? Oh, I see questions coming in. Hmm. I might address these for the brave few that ask questions. Advice to transition from exclusive to boyfriend and girlfriend for a long distance exclusive relationship, please. Carolina. I can't say names to save my life. I'm too dyslexic. Um, there is no advice I can give you to motivate your partner to close the gap of long distance. When it's a long-term, long-distance relationship, what is he gambling on? Why is he not closing the gap? Is he working in the mines? I don't understand. Why is he feeling that it's okay for you to just be a girlfriend somewhere long distance? That means that there is no pressure, and men work best under pressure to close the gap. What could that pressure be? You letting him know what the requirements are to be with you. How old are you? When do you want to have children? Things like that. You need to communicate that to him so he knows that he will lose you unless he closes the gap. Freya, in a new relationship, he works 6 days a week, only has Sundays off, and I've been keeping them free for him. Should I start making my own plans without him or keep Sundays open for him by default? This could have been me writing this 5 years ago. My husband works 700 days a week. He has a million jobs just because that's who he is. And Freya, number one, this is a boyfriend, new relationship. He will not change. Let me tell you this right now. Thank me later. It's a fact. He will not change. People have a disposition of how they are in life. Do you want this? This dog barking kept me up all night last night, by the way. Love animals, but this animal, there's something else, this guy. In it, you need to understand that number one, you're investing your time in your future lifestyle. Do you want this future lifestyle in the long run? Stop auditioning for someone, being like, do I keep my Sundays open for him? And be like, do I need this only Sunday man in my life? Do you understand what it's going to be like raising children with an only Sunday man? Me, I found that by God or universe, it started to suit me when I learned the art of detachment. Because why? Because I learned that what I need is space in order to cultivate the person I am. I only wrote books, courses, became who I am. Not that it's all so great or anything, but it really fulfills me because I have a partner who is very, very involved in his own life. If I had someone who was very, very around me all the time, I would disappear into that relationship because I'm very relationship focused. I'm a relationship person, as in like friendship person, relationship person. I will go above and beyond for people. So I can only cultivate who I am with that time. Can you see the positive in your situation? Anyway, to answer your actual question, should you keep Sunday free for him? Yes, if you have an ongoing agreement that I cannot wait to spend Sunday with you. We are spending Sunday together. What are we doing this Sunday? I'm so excited about Sunday. But if he's like, I don't know, should we do something on Sunday? I'm not sure. Let's see. Then no. It shouldn't be fake or forced, but you should don't book out your whole Sunday. But if Pilates happens to be at 6 a.m. on Sunday or 3 p.m. on Sunday as a lunch, then you take it. He's not booked it. You give it away. That's it. But if it is your standing date, then don't do that. Next question. I find it really hard to detach from my husband's emotions. If he's upset, annoyed at me, he gets very cold and I feel his sadness that I can't shake off. I try to regulate myself. I just want to cry sometimes. Yes, I know how you feel because I felt exactly the same way. Any advice, please? I have the best advice for you because that was me, right? And my husband, I only talk like this in these webinars because you people are my people. Like you invest in this and you understand me. My husband used to punish me, but emotionally, right? Try and get to me by stonewalling or having emotional tantrums, right? I've been with this person for 10 years. My ex used to do it too. Why? Everybody, why? Because you react to it. You cannot make a person feel a way that they don't want to be made to feel. You understand? I think it's an Eleanor Roosevelt quote. You know how I broke it? Because at one point, I don't know how it happened, but I didn't react. I think something was concerning me more than his tantrum. Let's remember, men are closer to babies than we can comprehend. They pick up an algorithm and they're like, if I sulk, she changes her mood. It's the key is in the question. When my husband shows emotion, upset or annoyed, I can't regulate myself. I cry and it ruins, my day. He is affecting you to see that you care. For men, they don't care what their emotion is as long as they can get an emotion. That's why women don't understand when he's doing something wrong, you nag him and he doesn't change. You know why? Because he doesn't understand nag as different to praise. He just sees it as woman give attention, I do good. You see? If you don't give attention, he thinks I did bad. So if he's sulking and it does not change, your regulation, act. That's how you do it. You act. Yeah. In order to, you know how when you're falling asleep, you pretend to be asleep? You don't just go asleep. You lie there and you're like pretending to be asleep. Do you know what I mean? You're pretending. Everything like that is in life. When he's doing that emotional manipulation, not his fault. He probably is a normal person, but that's how he's used to getting emotional reaction out of you and therefore affirmation of who he is. You act completely not dysregulated. Oh, look at the weather today. It's really weird. It's a bit windy. And he's there. Do that 3 times, he will never do it again. He'll be like, shit, I've got to adjust what I'm doing. And it's going to be hard for you. Yes, I see it gets you an emotional reaction, but how much do you want your ideal life? How much do you want your goal? To be the person who he's going to try a different technique. And when he does a technique that you like giving you presents or having a conversation, you reward it with attention. How do I improve our conversational chemistry? Hmm. Can you write to me what you mean by conversational chemistry? Is he just dry? Is he boring? Does he not laugh at your jokes? What's the chemistry? What's the reason it's off? Because I want to answer it well. Virginia, my question is, in a long-term relationship, 9 years, daughters, community projects together, how are you to build trust when boundaries have been crossed? There's been accountability from his part. There has been accountability on his part. He recognizes the error. We're in a repair process. I love him so much. I really want to make this work, but there's parts of me that are struggling on trusting him and getting detached from the idea he'll be cross boundaries again. Okay, Virginia, you need to understand what is the life you want and what is your goal in life? Because I've read a few things. Daughters, projects, I love him very much. Boundaries have been crossed, okay? This is all positive. You know how hard it is to find someone you truly love and you truly like? I don't know what the boundaries was. I don't know if he stole your credit card or if he cheated. But the point is, you have now seen his capabilities, right? You now have the power and knowledge of having seen his capabilities. I'm not always going to say he broke your boundaries, leave, 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 everyone. I've got friends who's have had marital affairs in their relationship, all kinds of things, right? But if you love him and this is your person, that's who you chose, not me, not us. You chose him. You will break that relationship by showing any lack of any trust issue. So what you say to him is, I see what you've done. I see who you are. If it repeats again, I won't be here, but I will give you full trust from this point. And you act, like I said before, like when you pretend to sleep, you act. It might not be easy, but it will be worth it because you are now in a powerful position. You now know he's capable of that. Can you accept him that way? Can you accept him with the boundary that he broke? Don't be delusional and thinking it will never happen again. Live in a life where you have accepted him for who he is. Everyone has minuses. Everyone's not perfect. I don't know what he did again. Did he talk about you behind your back to your friends? He might do it again. Did he take money from your card? He might do it again. Let's hope he doesn't. And if you end up together forever and you die together as little old people holding hands and he never does, beautiful. But you're in a position of power of having chosen him and seen exactly who he is. My situation is a little different and a bit complex. I'm married. Yeah, situations are complex. How can I stay emotionally detached from my partner's avoidant and delays in our IVF process directly affect my ability to start a family? This one, I will die on this one. This is not a detachment situation. This is a detachment from him situation. This is a knowledge of who you are. If he's going to play with your timeline and your children, I would under no circumstance entertain that. Do you understand? I'm turning 40 soon, and he resists talking about logistics and gets moody when I ask about appointments or forms. He says he wants to handle himself, but if I don't remind him, things get delayed. If I decide to leave him, how can I date again without becoming overly anxious? You will become overly anxious because now you're 40 and you're in this situation. You've got to understand how much you want a child, right? And if his like mood swings and delays in talking about it, you have two choices. Number one, leave him imminently this moment so you've got a chance of meeting someone else or having a child yourself. Or if you really want this child, and I'm a parent, children are in like mind blowing to experience. So I want you to experience it, Ariel. Ignore his resistance and logistics and umming and ahhing, go to the appointment yourself, push through and get the child if you want it, or go and find someone else if you really, I don't know how he ums and ahs. I don't know if he's, this is the thing. If someone's late for you, always to meet you, but they're on time everywhere else, they're disrespecting you. If someone's late everywhere and even misses airplanes, that's my husband. He's missed 3 flights with me because he can't stop doing whatever he's doing and then misses the flight, then it's just a personality trait. Does he just and ah? Does he always drag his feet? Does he do this? Keep in mind, you're going to have a child with a man who is dragging his feet, doesn't want to go to appointments, gets moody, doesn't want this, doesn't want that. But only you can judge whether this person is delaying having this child because he doesn't want one with you or because this is his type of personality. Both are not great scenarios, but you can decide whether you push through and you ignore his tantrums or you find someone else. Like confronting him only sends into typical defensive shame spiral. Yeah, confronting him is not a good idea. My husband is the expert at being unbothered and it annoys me, especially when we have issues and arguments. How do I deal? Um, Rosemary, you need to what a good name, Rosemary. You need to he's an expert at being unbothered because whoever is the more unbothered one creates a more emotional reaction in the other one. So you need to he goes low, you go lower. Be relaxed. He's your husband. What are you fighting about? You know what I mean? You will get there eventually. You have a conversation. Just be less bothered than him. What are you triggered about? Do you want him to do emotional loops? Like, what is it you want from him? Mm. This is the conversation one. He doesn't have much to say when we do walks together. The conversation just doesn't flow naturally. It's curious to me. He might not be a conversationalist. Is he very athletic? Is he more physical? Is he more cerebral in terms of like, is he more academic? Hello, my love. Sorry to interrupt this podcast. I never usually post Q&As and behind the scenes stuff that we do on our platform, but I wanted to share this one with you so that you know what you will be getting if you join our Become Her or any of the other courses that we're running. And there are probably only a few left for the year. I'm not sure I'm going to be doing them next year, so go ahead and join Become Her for October and I'll see you there and you can ask me all your questions and we can chat. Maureen, can confirm I've been reading the new rules for the past couple of days and I've stopped reacting to silly tantrums and it seems like the dynamic has completely shifted. I went from attention seeking and now he is. Marguerite, guys, it works, but you just have to do it. You have to do it in a real detached way. Husband's definitely a DA and changing my behavior unbothered made a big difference. Fake it till you make it. Exactly. Wait a minute. I was going to go back to the questions and then I read this. My husband yells at my kids when he's stressed and is at my kids. Are they your mutual kids, Miranda? He's also avoidant and yells at the kids when they clearly are acting out to get attention and connection. This is so tricky. Finding a way to address in soft power with boundaries, I end up defending the kids, telling him, you are wrong. You need to fix it. Oh my God, how do you stop him from yelling? People are talking about it like Roya's talking about it. Listen, if someone yelled at my kids, especially not their father, because I can't clearly understand if they're your kids or mutual kids. Let me scroll down. Our kids. Okay, okay, cool. Because the stepdad situation is trickier, is less tricky than a father situation. Because if it's a stepdad, then back off my children. But if it's a father who has a way to discipline his children, even if you disagree, you do have to contend with it a little bit. But you are a woman and a mother first before anything else. So after he's done yelling at them one time, you pull him aside and you say to him with very serious fire in your eyes, uh, if you yell at my children, you will face consequences that you don't want. And you say it with absolute conviction because he will. You cannot yell at children. That's not what we're going to do. If you cannot speak properly, walk outside and yell at a man your own size, yeah? Let me go back to the questions that were submitted just to be fair. Number 4, how do I stay unbothered during turmoil when it feels impossible? Um, you're still human. You can't completely detach from emotion. But what it does mean is that you can come back to who you are and who you intrinsically are faster, okay? You can still spiral, but you try and regulate all the modules about self-regulation in, I think, day 3 of Unbothered. Go back to that. For me, for example, right? When my house got broken into, I have no stuff, guys, like literally only what I'm wearing. In the past, I would have spiraled in terms of like, oh my God, my grandma's ring, the bags, it took me ages to find all of this. Oh my God, I've lost everything. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now, when you learn the art of detachment, you learn that, not to sound morbid, but you're here for such a short time. Like we're here on Earth for such a short time. What am I going to do with those bags and jewelry? Take them when I die? Where? I'm not like an emperor who's going to be buried in my stuff. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. So you shorten the time frame of it all, and you're like, wow. And honestly, it changes your brain chemistry. I'm so fortunate and I'm so lucky to not have been in the house, and my children to not have been in the house when it happened. You see what I'm saying? And so when you learn the art of detachment and turmoil happens or bad things happen, you take a step back in a really esoteric way. You do understand that, for example, religious experiences and when you go to a church or when you go to a temple, or temples are all designed for when you enter them, the grand mosques, temples, Buddhist temples, to make you feel small in the world and understand the smallness of who you are. But in that comes comfort, right? Because you enter the space and you understand the magnitude of the universe and the people that came before you and all these things. And so when Derek is having a tantrum about the fact that you didn't make pancakes or you didn't make time for him, to have an almost religious experience in terms of entering a moment in yourself, not entering a mosque, want to, and understanding that this too shall pass. It's so small. It's such small minutia. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how you are now and your presence in the world now. And it just helps you get over pain faster. Okay. It doesn't take it away. You're human, but it helps you take it away faster. Number 5, at what point is it no longer detachment, but emotional neglect? Um, well, there's a whole chapter in the book that I'm writing about this, but detachment doesn't cost you intimacy or respect or safety. In fact, it cultivates it. So in a scenario where a person is, let's say you're in a relationship and they are never there for you, they don't make time for you, they're neglectful of you, right? In a scenario where you chase them for that attention and affirmation, that is self-neglect because you're not reading the information that they're giving you. They're not interested in being with you. They're with you because you're good enough. And they're basically, you're just there in the waiting room, emotionally speaking. And you keep, and by you keeping trying to close the gap, you're getting breadcrumbing and fake notion of closeness. If you were to detach and you were like, let me see the situation exactly for what it is right now, and you take a step back and you look at it and you stop making the effort and you stop begging for attention, you'll see very clearly and very fast that that person is not giving you attention. They're not giving you time. They're not giving you love. And then you can faster walk away. So, which one is neglect? Which one is emotional neglect? Is it emotional neglect to keep begging a man who's not interested in you for attention? Because that sounds to me like emotional neglect of your inner child and of your true self, as opposed to letting him be who he is, watching it for a shorter time, because he might come through. He might be like, oh, here I am. You can actually see what he does. Okay. 6, how do I build healthy security and control without controlling others? Um, the feeling of controlling others is a fake security, because in monitoring them and giving them clues on how they should act in order not to hurt you, you are going to drain yourself of energy and not be able to live your life freely, because you're going to be monitoring your kids, your husband, your friends, your mom, everybody. Security is built in self-trust and discipline of knowing that no matter how they act, you are going to be okay. Okay? Control of others is not a surefire way of making you feel safe. Okay? You need to have not trust of others, but trust of self. People are going to do all kinds of things. I said earlier in this webinar that in the scenario where the man broke a boundary and now she's taken him back, you don't take him back under the notion that he'll never do it again. You take him back under the notion that he might, but you're okay enough to be resilient enough for him to do it again and survive. If you are not, then you don't take him back. Let's say he had a 6-month affair, right, at work. And that was the betrayal. For me, I could not take him back. Why? Because I don't think I would be emotionally sound if it happened again, right? If my husband, what is a betrayal that I could handle? Let's say he called his friend and said how mean and annoying I am. I'd be like, why are you talking about me? But if he did it again, I'd be like, you're weird, but fine, I guess you need someone to talk to. There's all kinds of myriads of betrayal, okay? Um, for example, I'll tell you guys only because like you're my community. My husband has parents. Like, I get asked about in-laws a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Lovely humans, but if there's ever a disagreement, I never disagree with them because I guess I'm Eastern European and my background's like don't disagree with your elders, so I'm just like detachment, whatever. I just let them go. He will not take sides. He will not take my side. He will not take their side. Let's just say I want bananas, they want apples. It's not a big deal, but just like say he won't. And some women will take that as betrayal because they want a husband who's like very on their side. My wife said, me, can I handle it? I'm like, yeah, I guess you want your elderly parents to be happy. Whatever, you do you, right? But could I handle a betrayal that someone else might let go of? Probably not. You've got to really know yourself. Can you experience it again and be okay? Some women, for example, if you ever watch Shira 7 and all those ones who talk about just get the money and all this stuff, if that is your prerogative, does it really matter who if he cheats or not? Does it matter if he breaks your boundaries? No, it doesn't, because you're there to have a financial reward. 7 is interesting. How do I stay calm while waiting for a job offer or news? um Understanding also that excitement and anxiety are neurologically very similar. They fire up the same part of the brain. So you just reframe your anxiety of waiting for the job offer to come in as excitement. It's lovely to be alive. It's lovely to be excited and anxious sometimes. It's human. You're not going to be like this Buddha on a lotus floating through life. And that's not what detachment is about. But you need to understand that detachment is about if you get this job, fantastic. And if you don't, fantastic. There's so many stories about people who didn't get exactly what they wanted at all, but got something better later, you know? Like in my story where I said in my 20s when I was always trying to hang out with my husband and he was busy doing whatever he's doing, I guess because maybe he's 8 years older than me, he was, doing his career and all this stuff. If I'd got what I wanted at the time, and that is for us to like hold hands and skip around and watch movies every weekend, I'm not sure I would have done what makes me so happy now. And now I would have been like, why didn't I build a career for myself? You know what I mean? Like the world works out in mysterious ways. Number 8, was I too anxious when I told a man I wanted more reciprocity? Asking for reciprocity isn't anxious. Asking for anything isn't anxious, but us women, we don't like to ask for things, do we? And there's a reason we don't like it, because when you ask for something, I know men think it's really dumb, just ask for what you want. But when you ask for, like, can you give me more attention? Can you be more reciprocal in our text messages? And then he does, and you're like, yuck, because it's like, you didn't do that naturally, did you? And we're judging him for his natural tendency. So was I too anxious when I asked for reciprocity? No, you weren't too anxious, but it's not made you feel good by asking, because you've come down off the pedestal that you want to be on in a relationship. You want him to worship you. This is your body. The anxiety that you're feeling and the discomfort you're feeling is your body going, I want a man who's crazy about me. I don't want to have to tell this guy to prioritize me and to reply to me, because it doesn't feel good. It doesn't make me feel safe. It doesn't make me feel happy. Your body feels emotions as a signal of what you want. So should you feel bad about it? No. But understand, again, we are the judge, not the auditionee. He's an American Idol auditionee. You're the judge. So you've got to flip it that way. He's not giving you enough for you to feel excited about this relationship. The fact that you asked him for it doesn't make you feel good, because asking for things makes you feel like rubbish, and it does. But I would suggest in the future, set boundaries as opposed to asking for reciprocity. He's not giving you enough time and energy and doesn't come through for you and doesn't reply to your text messages, lose interest. As opposed to it making you anxious because you are thinking of him as your parent who didn't give you enough attention in the past, and therefore you would die, because literally if your parent doesn't feed you, you die. Think about him as a cherry on top of the cake. Like, is he amplifying the cake? No, he's not, because he's not even reciprocating. That should bore you. Number 9, how can I be unbothered with my autistic child who needs me constantly? Listen, this one I read when I put it down uh, as very, very hard and very interesting, because being unbothered about men, careers, and everything is one thing. But if there's one thing that I am very bothered about, is my children, the outcomes of my children, how they are. My son has been telling me, for example, he's tired for 2 weeks, right? Do you think I'm bothered? I'm bothered. I'm on Google, like, why is child tired? What is happening? Do I need to take him to a doctor? Why am I bothered? Because I'm directly responsible for my child. There's no one, he cannot advocate for himself. And in terms of your child with autism, he cannot go to the doctor, he cannot advocate for himself, he cannot get what he needs, he cannot change his diet to better suit him, he cannot do any of that. So I don't want you to sit there and be like, I'm not detached from this creature. Same with pets or things that completely rely on you, because you can't detach from them. They're completely reliant on you. But what you can do is detach your identity from the identity of their carer. Okay? So I cannot detach from my children, but I find that if I separate my child's needs, my children's needs, I don't have the same situation as yours, but trust me, children are hard anyway. Not as hard, I completely understand that, but you have to separate your maternal identity from your identity as a woman, as a partner, as a goddess, and all that stuff. And with an autistic child, it's harder. But I have to have micro self rituals where you do things for you. You do things for you. That's so annoying. People say, do things for you. Like what? Like a bath? For me, do things for me is sit here and talk to you at 8 a.m. and I've got someone who's looking after my children upstairs. I have to pay her. Yeah. And I created this whole online business when I had children. Why? Because I don't want to be away from them. I refuse to be away from them when they're very small. That's my prerogative, because I can't detach from my children. And healthy attachment is attachment, right? But I create support. I don't have family here. I pay for people. And I think one of the things that I am going to be siphoning, like everything that I'm doing, into is teaching women how to be present for their children, not detached from random men and random jobs, but create a job for yourself that you love. And it should be online, because feminine energy, you all in this forum have a skill that someone else wants. Do you think I just sat here and was like, I actually mastered the art of like turning myself from anxious to secure and detachment and kind of loving being with myself, when in my 20s, oh my God, I was a nightmare. I was hard for myself to be around, like deeply not lovable, in terms of like anxious people are hard to love. sadly, because they're so clingy and they so want your approval and they so want your attention. And when you see it from a different lens, you're like, it's kind of repulsive. Like, no offense, guys, I'm one of you, but like, and not all of you are like that, but it's like an octopus just trying to grab at your attention, and you don't feel seen by the anxious person. All they want is your attention, right? But in saying that, so if you have adverse difficulties with your children, normal, autistic, doesn't matter, um, you have an identity as a carer and the universe gave it to you. Maybe you believe it, maybe you don't, but because you have something in there that will change the world, if you find a way to do it well, you can teach other women how you do it. Okay? Because we're made as women to sit around a fire and pass wisdom. Do you understand why grandmas live longer than grandfathers? It's not because like of anything, but the fact that women are carriers of wisdom. Only us, whales, and another mammal has grandparents, grandmothers, who live for a very long time after menopause. So we have menopause in our 40s, 50s. We can't have children anymore. Why are we living for another 50 years? Animals don't do that. They stop reproducing, they die because we carry wisdom as women that you're meant to teach, that you can make money from. Anyway, I digress. How do I manage phone anxiety when my boyfriend doesn't reply quickly? This debilitated me my whole life. It was almost like the rat with the slot machine waiting for the slots to bing, because I was like, I need a reply, not even from him, but just to see that he's alive. And then I'd convince myself that he died for some reason. Like every boyfriend I had, oh my God, he died, he lost his phone. It's very anxious. So um, it's not about the phone. It's not about him. It's not about anything. It's about nervous system regulation. You need to replace waiting energy with creative energy. You need to siphon, in Buddhism and in things, it's called subliminal energy. So sexual energy or anxious energy, all those energies, you can transmute it into creativity. You need to notice the trigger and understand that the more you wait for him to reply to you and get like a bing, and then you feel better again with that dopamine surge, the more you train that pattern, the worse it's going to get. So when he's away, you need to get away from your phone. You need to not allow it to reinforce you to feel good about yourself that he's replied to you. You cannot let that happen. You need to redirect when he's away and put your phone away until it doesn't trigger you anymore, into walking, into doing things with other people, and you need to understand that his pace does not define your value. His pace of replying cannot define your value. You need to break it like an addiction, like a habit that you have. It cannot be the center of your self-value. And the reason it is not necessarily because you even like him or love him so much, right? It's because you're allowing the loop of the bing of the phone when he replies to you, even when he says something completely benign, boring, and ridiculous, to give you value of like, he still likes me. He still likes me. That's value from someone else. You need to get off your phone. You need to not allow it to control you. For 3 hours, you put your phone away. That's it. I'm gonna go back to the chat questions. To add, my husband has multiple personality issues, alcoholism, aging, health, sexual depression, and an emotional attachment with a former ex. What should I do? You know, it's funny because I know that when I read this, everyone in the chat is thinking what I'm thinking. Yeah, I know that because it's like a mastermind. I can hear your thoughts, and we're thinking together. Well, you should say that's the longest list of inadequacies. And people, can you reply to Kenzie, La Sister, so that I am not intrinsically just by myself? We want better for you. We, as your tribe, want better for you. We're like, why? He's a former ex is like the nail on the coffin. What should I do? Think of, go back to my question of what should you do in terms of, can you handle it and not let it affect your self-worth? Can you live like this with alcohol, aging isn't really an issue, but alcohol, health, sexual depression, emotional attachment, former ex, and be like, yep, I still can live through this and I still got this. If not, everyone's gonna write to you what you should do. Alex, how do you keep your cool and detached when your husband's not fully present with the time he spends with your son, glued to his phone? Yeah. I get pissed and jump into mum mode wherever it's linked to our baby. I find it easier to detach from his actions except for my baby. Alex, I'm going to say that I told you that I still feel detachment to my children. The second book I was going to, attachment to my children, as you should. The second book I was going to write was going to be on motherhood and all of that. And I said to my publisher, I said, I don't know enough yet to let you know about my message. It's almost there. It's like almost there. That's a book I'm going to write when I'm, you know, in my 40s because I don't just say stuff to say it, right? Like I need to understand it still. My husband is also on the phone a lot in front of my kids. I'm sitting there and I want to get off your phone. Like I want to say that. And sometimes that is my children is the time when I lose it. But I also understand for the sake of my children, if you're there policing his phone, he gets worse. The way you soften to it is you understand that it's a global problem, that we all have it, that your husband's not on the phone as a rejection to your child, but your husband's on the phone because he's dopamine searching. Yeah, he's waiting for a dopamine rise when he's looking at it. So, Run, you deserve better. Yes, Anna. Yeah. As I said from the previous question, you need to create, as the matriarch in your family, situations where the phone is not there without telling him you're doing it because you're the neck and he's the head. So you need to direct him like that. Yeah. That's what I have done in the past. I understand that me berating my husband to get off the phone gets the opposite reaction. I try and move it, remove it, create situations where we're outside and do all those things. But I understand the trigger. How to keep my mystery in a long-term marriage. I have a lot of my plans in my own life and generally very unbothered, but it's like he's already used to that because I've been like that from the start and started noticing a lack of desire on his part sexually. But I'm very sweet to him when we're together. I'm hard to get, but easy to be with. Uh, and you're very pretty because I can see you. I was gonna be like, has she let herself go? Not to be harsh, but you know what I mean? Like I've had seasons in my life where I've let myself go or I have not. And sadly, annoyingly, men respond to visuals. Um, if you want the toxic answer and the real answer, you might need to create situations of competition for your time or for your effort or for your energy and the way you look. You need to be excited about going out with your friends, be excited about not always involving him and having that energy of competition. Because some men, even good men, if you really want this, it's the energy of competition of trying to vibe for your time. And he's going to think that you're going out to impress other men, but that's okay because that's where the competition comes from. Secondly, what is your space and time like together? Are you walking around naked in front of him all the time? Stop doing that. Get dressed because then that creates the mystery in his head of like, this is not my woman who's always walking around naked. It's a woman who I need to kind of seduce or get her time in order to see that from her. Uh, People don't like me for this, but like, are you using the bathroom together? Is he seeing you as somebody who is like, no, you're not? Okay, good. Thank Jesus. Sorry, Lord. But it's got to be creations of you, not as only an unbothered person, right? But as someone who is sexually mysterious. And that means out with your friends, dressed in a way he doesn't get to see you naked, things like that. Any thoughts on my question about how he yells at the kids, how to address in an unbothered way? You say to him, listen, I've noticed, jokes aside, I've noticed you yelling at the kids. It is corroding the literal fiber of my being because I disagree on it in every single way. If it continues, it's going to break what we have, my trust in you, how I see you as a man, because I cannot see a grown big man yelling at a small child. So if you continue, you will see consequences that you're not going to like. I'm not going to punch you. I'm not threatening that I'm going to kill you or anything, but I will not see you as a man. And then when he does it again, look at him with such disgust. Ugh, disgusting. Because men really react to women's disapproval as opposed to yelling. You can mute her. Yeah, I couldn't mute her for some reason. It was crazy when the woman was talking about her dentures or whatever was going on. Megan, my partner has expressed that he could see himself being non-monogamous. He's very hippie. He says that ideally he lives in a village with multiple wives and the women will raise the kids together. He tends to be very philosophical and dreams big, unrealistic things. I.e., he's afraid of commitment. He makes many genuine efforts to maintain a healthy relationship. We love each other, ideally see us marrying, but I don't know how to deal with the threat of him being potential. First of all, do you know how hard it is, Megan, for a man to convince several women to be his wives? Is this man very, very rich, very, very attractive, and very, very loaded? Or is he just fantasizing, right? Because as you said, he's philosophical. If he wants to be a Mormon man and live in that kind of way with many wives, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, it would be nice to have friends around, and then he can just go away, whatever. I say that as a joke, but not a lifestyle I would want. But some people do. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with it. I don't want it. Some people like it because they're not so positioned on the together interpersonal relationship. They're more community focused. And he sounds, let's not villainize him, like a community focused man. And his philosophy is all like, let's be in a commune together. Do I want to be in a commune? Don't worry about something that's not happened. If he's someone who likes to be philosophical, why don't you bring up a philosophy? Why don't you bring up the philosophy that in the animal kingdom and in some human populations in the past, women used to mate with several men to make sure that all those men have paternal feelings toward the child that is born, because they all think that that could be my child. That is literally a technique that chimpanzees and many animals use, right? Bring that up as a philosophical point. Be like, you know what? I see that with the many wives and the raising, but I also think that if I sleep with many men, I'm just saying, no, I'm not going to do it. But I'm just saying, and then they all feel paternal feelings. Then one of you could provide, and one of you could play with the son, and one of you could, provide me security. That would be cool, wouldn't it? And see how he reacts. Because if he likes a philosophical question, let's philosophize back at him, Megan. Don't worry about things that have not occurred, like him finding these wives. Where are these wives? We're always worried about men going off with women. They hardly got you. How are they going to find these women? Patricia, I'm getting to know a guy long distance after 3 months since we agreed to do this. I just got him to do regular calls. I just got him to do regular calls. It's like he's a kid. Now I cannot get more important topics to see our compatibility. He just tends to talk about our days. Any suggestions? He's always busy at work. He always tends to skip calls. I know what everyone's thinking, updating me. I've asked him to do this already before. He shows up 15 minutes. I think it's an avoidant tendency. I also stop chasing this man. I cannot even read this. He says he's interested and he seems to attempt to connect, genuinely busy. He also replies very late, usually at 3 a.m. Listen, Patricia, um, why are you dragging this man kicking and screaming into phone calls with you? He should be so anxious about losing you as opposed to you anxious about getting him on the call. The person that has more anxiety about the relationship is the one who is more invested. Stop asking him. See how he naturally comes to the relationship. Lily, I'm with a very great guy. He responds immediately when I properly practice what you have shown us. Yes, my problem is I slip back easily. How do I recommend I stay grounded in these principles long term? I'm realizing it's more spiritual than I thought, truly being present and letting go of control. And how do I get to the point? It is spiritual. You need to have your own trust and your own spiritual practice and understanding that there is no control you can put over another person that is going to give you ultimate safety. The more you make yourself believe that you can control someone and get ultimate safety, the more you are lying to yourself. Yeah. So it's self-work. You're not dying tomorrow. Hopefully, you're going to die at old age. So it's a life lesson. It's a life trajectory. It's a long thing that you are going to be on. And if he's a great guy and he shows up and sometimes you sit back, then the thing you do is you stop and you slip forward again. You enter that energy again. How can I tell the difference between healthy detachment and protecting my peace and emotional avoidance that shuts off from my connection? Cara, I'm chapters in my book on this. It's very, very interesting. So there is the archetype of the person who's overly emotional, always tries to communicate, always tries to tell everybody everything. Nobody can handle their feelings. That's the anxious person. The avoidant is what you're talking about. You're saying, how can I be secure without being avoidant? Unbothered or detached is being secure, knowing I got me and I'm okay and I'm happy and I'm in my life and someone can hurt me. I'm going to cry. It's going to hurt, but I'm going to be okay because I've got me and I know how to self-regulate. You're talking about avoidance where you go into, I don't need anyone. What can anyone do for me anyway? That is when you know. That is when you know that you've crossed the line from anxious to avoidant. When you stop liking people, when you stop trusting people, when you stop giving time to people, it needs to be an open, expanded feeling, not a closed off feeling. That's the difference. Yeah. So that's self work. You got to read what is secure and what is avoidant, and not let yourself slip into there. Any advice who's someone struggling with panic attacks, heavy relationships, relationship talks happen? Listen, Megan, I am not a therapist or a psychologist, so one of my closest friends has panic attacks, and I think it's something that you need to treat with a medical professional only because I can talk to you about self-regulation until the cows come home, but I cannot give you medication, prescribe anything to you, tell you exactly what to do because I am not a doctor. Oh, bless me. That's the truth. In my country, it means when you sneeze after you say something, it means it's true. Um, Autumn, beautiful name. My avoidant ex is opposite. He would refuse to talk to me what he needs because it wouldn't be real for me. Dumb. True, it is dumb. Kirsten, in high moments of stress that drives me into anxious and him to avoidant, what are the tangible practices to do myself to soothe myself? I know in my mind what to do, but sometimes it doesn't happen and I chase. When you were transitioning to your unbothered energy, what did you do in that situation? Yeah, and a lot of people are replying that it's the same. What you do is you need to rewire your brain into secure practices, okay? So I also used to react like this all the time. I'd go anxious, my husband or partner before him would go avoidant, and what I'd do, because now I feel uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable in my body. They are not giving me the attention I need. Oh my God. I used to try and close the gap. I used to try and close the gap in order to not have that feeling anymore. Call them, text them, come in the room, be like, can we just have a conversation later about like why this happened? Anything to close the gap, argue more, whatever, just closeness and proximity to him. But you need to sit in that moment. And when I started to transition from anxious to unbothered, I was like, okay, here we go. We've had an argument. He's avoiding me. This is it. This is my moment. Okay. I almost got excited about it because I was like, this is my moment to change how I feel neurologically. What can I do? Okay. What can I do to not close the gap to him? And to learn in my neurology that when I give him more space, when I give him the avoidant more space, he will come back. Because if you chase him, if you close the gap, if you get emotional, they will go further. And you was going to reinforce that pattern, reinforce that pattern. Okay, so I now know that I need to let him be in his cave. If you've never met or read Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars, it's a useful book. Not everything is right in there, but it's useful in terms of like when he goes in his cave, you have to force yourself into self-improvement. You force yourself, gym, friends, art, whatever. This is your opportunity. You need to see it as like an athlete, that like this is a sport. This is your time to be on because you're not only going to self-improve every time he does his avoidant technique and you're going to be like this mega goddess, but also you're going to see in a matter of months that he has his avoidant moment and 2 minutes later he's back in the room. Sorry, can we talk? And you're like, what? Who is this? Who is this? Because now he knows the biggest thing, and I'll leave it on this, that men want, all men, is the freedom to be themselves. As soon as you start, and that doesn't mean an alcoholic who's philandering and cheating on you, that just means intrinsically themselves, they want to be chosen for who they are, right? So as soon as he does his avoidant thing and you chase him, that he's reading that as you trying to change him into something that he's not. If he does his avoidant thing and you go deep into self improvement, everything you ever wanted to do, write a book, body, whatever. I know we all have lists of goals, right? He will see shit. I have the autonomy to be myself. No one's chasing me down. No one's telling me I need to talk about this. No one's telling me how to act or how to be. I'm just being. So you kill two birds with one stone. You get deep into self improvement and self work, and you also allow him the gift of being himself. And that makes you irreplaceable. Not how you cook for him, not how you are, not how you look, not what you do, but the appreciation, the stillness, and the feminine energy you can give a man to be like, I see you and I accept you for who you are. You will become irreplaceable. Trust me. Until obviously he does something that breaks a boundary, be like, this is my boundary. I'm not going to accept it. That's it. That's how it should be. Guys, we've gone for an hour. I love you so much. I will try and do these more often. It's been amazing. I need to get on a call as well. Oh my God, look at the hearts. Yeah, all the hearts. All right, guys, love you lots like Jady Tots. See you on the next one. Bye.